Yeah.
Yeah.
My parents suspended sheets.
So I had to take the
Did you
bus, I
guys
mean, 'cause
see
it
them?
was Catholic school.
School bus. We dropped them off. No, well, we got it. I got it back on Thursday, so on Thursday. Texted him.
And then take the next one.
Like,
It's okay, as long as it works, I'll hide it behind the screen.
texted him.
You guys ready to get started? Yeah,
I
ready?
texted him, and I'm like, I just was like, hey, and then
You guys ready down
no, mom and dad today.
It was, yeah. 'Cause you-
Like 8:40, I texted again. I was like,
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Great to see everyone. It's only the middle of the year, but last meeting of our fiscal year, so, yeah, interesting. So let's go ahead and get the meeting started. I'll go ahead and ask for a roll call, please.
Chairman Pruitt,
Here.
Trustee Knox, Trustee Hatera,
Here.
Trustee Parkey, Trustee Gasper, here, Trustee Douglas,
Here.
Trustee Chapman.
Very good. And with that, the June 22nd, 2026 meeting of the Sangamon Mass Transit District is called to order. Got a number of things to go through today, so we'll go ahead and jump in. First item on the agenda is our approval of our minutes from our regular meeting of May 18th. As is customary, those were all previously in your packets. And I will ask for anything that might have been out of the ordinary that needs attention, addressed, modifications with those. If not, I'll look for a motion.
I move to approve the meeting of May 18th, 2026.
Okay, we have a first and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Is there anybody opposed here? Very good. We have approval of those. We'll go ahead and jump into our communications from our different directors. First up, our managing director, Steve, today.
Just real briefly, I want to highlight a couple of things that I had in the report that I sent in your packets. They did put the walkway in place at the transfer center like we expected. It went really well. It was amazing how quickly that thing went up. From the time they started lifting it, it took about 15 to 20 minutes and it was set and where it was supposed to be. So really a good visible progress on the facility, and we'll keep everybody updated as different parts of that move forward. We're still waiting on elevators, and I think that's probably still a year away. So we're still well into the process. The East Yard project that you approved last time, we did get approval from the board. I think from IDOT. I sent you all an email, I think, when we got that. So that is moving forward. Staff's working with the contractor and the architect to set up a kickoff meeting, and hopefully we'll have that together soon and have a better idea of the schedule here shortly. That's all I got.
There's a lot more on the report.
There is.
Just kidding. I know there's a lot going on behind the scenes, but we appreciate the detailed report ahead of time. Any follow-up for Steve from anyone? Okay, if not, thanks as always. Let's go ahead. We'll move along to finance administration. Michelle?
Yes, most of my items tonight are going to be under new business that I want to talk about. But I do want to note in my report that it's June 22nd. We do not have an executed DOPE agreement for July 1 yet from the state of Illinois. But that's normal, unfortunately.
As long as you say so. Okay. All right, short and sweet, but yes, you do have a lot on the agenda. So we'll go ahead and keep moving along. Director of Operations, Melissa.
Just a few things I wanted to point out. Ridership for Transit Week we had in May 11th to the 16th, if you remember, was Transit Week. We celebrated with free rides all that week if you were riding a bicycle, using a bicycle to facilitate your rides with the bus. Based on ridership numbers, we served 26,839 passengers for the whole week. Based how reporting was done, we could determine 3,409 of those most likely were using bicycles to get those free rides.
Okay.
On Transit Tuesday, everyone got to ride for free. We had 4,430 free rides that day. Based on the information we have, we average for a daily ridership right around 4,500. So we can say that, these kinds of campaigns don't necessarily get everybody up in the morning and say, hey, that bus ride's free. I'm gonna go get on the bus today and not drive. Probably doesn't accomplish that, but what it does do is reward our day in and day out passengers that do use the service every day with these types of campaigns. And some of those may do get on a bike and ride that week instead. So it was kind of nice to see those numbers. Paratransit ridership, I've been kind of talking this up the last few months, getting into the end of the fiscal year. We are going to be seeing paratransit rides exceed 6 numbers this year, 6-figure. And I would like to give you a little idea on where that has came from. In 2021, 22, right around the time, of course, when COVID was hitting, we all seen a drop in ridership. 2021, we were down to 63,000 rides for access. Over the next few years, we went up. 22, we had 75,000. So they came back in ridership a lot faster than fixed route did. In 23, we were at 87,000. 24, we were at 95,000. 25, we went up to 98,000. So we're getting super close. And this year, with our ridership currently for the end of May at 97,330, we will be exceeding 6 figures this year.
That's wonderful.
We average about 8,000 rides a month in that department. So they're going to be well over this. This will be the first year since I've worked here. When I first started working here, we were like 55,000 was what we were doing in rides. So we've doubled that.
Well done.
Yep, that's great. So they're super busy. Operation, well, we will begin reviewing routes for improvements, most likely planning for the January 2027 schedules. So we're going to be meeting with staff and operations and plan what we want to see for some southeast side route changes for the evening and some daytime optimization of routes. So then we'll be scheduling a meeting with our operations committee to kind of discuss some of those changes soon.
Okay. Busy days. Okay. Anything to follow up from Melissa? And good job to everybody. Appreciate everybody's efforts. Well done. Let's go ahead and move into some reports if we could. First item is the approval of the April 26 financial statements and cash disbursements. Again, those are in board packets. I'll entertain any questions or modifications that need to be had. If not, I'll look for a motion there.
Second.
First and second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Very good. We have approval. Let's go ahead and get into some committee reports if we could. First up is the Finance Committee. Anything there?
We did meet a couple weeks ago and went over a number of items, several of which will be coming up during this meeting.
Okay, very good. Thank you for that report. How about the Operations Committee?
Try to meet. And get it together.
We will be meeting soon, though.
Keep trying.
Okay, very good. Administration Committee, any report there?
I think we'll have some things to talk about later with respect to compensation.
Okay, very good. Thank you. And IT Steering, do we have a report there?
We met, I wasn't able to.
Yeah, I think we just had our standard monthly meeting.
Okay.
It was an off time, I think, and
Mhm.
I don't think Charlie or Sandra could make this one, but
No, that's no problem.
continue to be monthly.
Still staying busy. Okay, thank you from those committees. Planning Commission report, Jason.
Pretty light for me too, as far as what we're doing. We're really continuing on the projects that we have been doing. We're in the final stages of the Safe Streets for All Safety Action Plan. We're holding off a little bit on our active transportation plan while the state of Illinois releases their statewide plan, because we want to review that and be able to see where there's some areas that we can align better with the state of Illinois' plan and everything. So we're still in that process, and we're also working on the transportation improvement program for the 27 through 29 or 27 through 30 fiscal years.
Okay, very good. Any comments on Melissa's numbers?
It was really heartening to hear the 3,409 bike rides, because like I said, that really goes well with the active transportation plan where you got synergy where they kind of dovetail together.
True. I just want to make sure you have the numbers correct. I saw you taking diligent notes. Well done. Appreciate the partnership. And last up, advisory committee report, but I don't see David. Anything from?
I did not hear from them. I don't think they met yet.
Okay. So I haven't seen them last two meetings. So. All right. How about some new business? We've got a number of items there to jump into. So our first item is our renewal for our commercial insurance and liability coverages. And I do see that Mr. Kavanaugh is sitting up front with a smile on, waiting to give us some good news. So Michelle, I don't know if you want an introduction or anything to say beforehand.
No, but if I could borrow Mr. Dawson's bottle of water.
Absolutely. As long as you reduce our rate.
Because, that's a relative term. So anyways, thank you for allowing me to come here and speak this evening. So obviously the events of the past week remind us of why we have insurance, why it's important to have it. So I'm here to tell you, as far as we're covering the district, it's well covered. We're still working with some of the main players in the industry, the primary ones, such as the Travelers, who've been a long partner with the district, not only there, but of course in transit throughout the United States. I think over the last couple of years, and I've kind of summarized these notes, that the challenges have been in property insurance, and we found that this year we've had a better position there. The industry is better capitalized. It's not to say it's not got its issues, but this year's renewal was relatively flat in the line item, and we've increased valuation for the building and the contents, and that's who we cover through Travelers, and we have a approximate value of about $45 million between building and contents, not including the buses. Okay. I think one of the bigger challenges here has been in the liability side, and I think I can defer to legal on this, but the cost of litigation and just judgments and stuff have just escalated. And there's for a multitude of reasons, and I could probably do a whole meeting on that. But probably one of the bigger drivers is like any time, and I was telling Michelle and Steve this, whenever we see these large class action suits and stuff, all those costs end up coming down the pipe to the insurance industry, because they are the final payers of this. And whether we like it or not, insurance is the biggest shared cost, between all parties, whether it's transit, to municipality, private industry, so on and so forth. But the good news I have for you on this one is, the district, I've been fortunate enough to do business with you guys since 2009. You guys never had a liability claim. You do a great job of managing it within your $1 million retention and through your TPA service and addressing those issues. And believe me, it's well recognized within the Travelers. And, I talk to the Travelers people, and we represent a lot of the transit districts in Illinois, not me specifically, but my other partners. And so I have kind of an inside benchmark to see where we're at, and then I could check with Travelers, and it's a validation. So this year, as far as liability with adjustments, it was somewhat minimal at about 4.4%, when the industry average is right 10% on liability and cost increase. So again, would I like to come in here and cut 15% of the bottom line? I'm sure you'd love me to, but that's not reality. Insurance is not getting cheaper. It's about managing what you guys do inside, and then how we can use that to leverage our carrier partners, okay? And we use a lot of data sets. We've got $1 billion investment, Gallagher does, in analytics, and we use it. We drive over $1 billion with the Travelers, so we have a lot of leverage, and we use it, okay, to your benefit. And that's where I say, like in my notes, that the marquee risks will get the better end of the range, okay? And so that's kind of in the floor. Leading into the excess liability, which is the $5 million that goes up over the $4 million that's with Travelers and the $1 million retention, to give you that full $10 million limit, which I have an illustration in here on that for you. Again, that one, we just made a change last year to Genesis or Genstar, and that was about a 4.9% increase, and we're keeping the full limit. Again, I shared with Michelle and Steve, one of the challenges we face in our industry right now is the former 10, 15, $20 million limits. A lot of the carriers are taking down and saying, we're going to only give you 2, 5, depending again on the industry set and the risk type. So we're having to do what's called layer the coverages. And quite frankly, the Travelers is your defense if there's a claim of significance. So those other excess carriers, they're the funding mechanism. So they have to look at and make sure they have a good partner as far as who's putting up that defense? Because they're going to be the ultimate payers if it gets up on that level. And I've also, within this, I went out, and this comes from a meeting that Steve, Michelle, Rusty, Brian were at, talking about on some liability. We went out to get additional coverage, at least to price it. Now, again, this is not for tonight to make that decision, but I wanted to show that. And that's in that second page and a couple of items that I point out. I'm kind of jumping ahead. I'm going to back up to the work comp in just a second. But under the optional coverages and limit increases, and that's on page 2 of that first piece I gave you. And the first one up was on the public officials. So the public officials policy year over year, no change. It stayed flat, no premium difference. Still maintain $1 million limit on that. It's a dual policy, so it covers, again, both you guys here as board decision makers, and then also you as an employer. So anybody that would, file a claim under Title VII or any kind of wrongful termination type things. And that's what puts up the defense for that. I went out and saw an additional $1 million limit and what that would price at. And that is what that additional premium is. Jumping back to property, again, wind hail, biggest problem in the Midwest right now. It doesn't appear to get any better. We have a wind hail deductible. We've had it the last 3 years on the property policy with travelers. It's a 1% minimum $100,000 deductible. So what does that mean? So we have valuation on all the buildings, and then it's blanketed. So take, for example, the bus barn to the garage. It's valued at about $16 million. I meant to look at the value before I got here on that. 1% of that's $160,000. So effectively, that's your deductible before anything gets taken care of. And it's actually, we're doing 125%. We were able to keep it down to 1 and 100,000 at a minimum. So a wind hail effectively does this. It ends up being that corridor between what your maximum, out of pocket would be and bringing it down to either $25,000 or $50,000 deductible. So you're actually adding a layer in to cover part of the deductible. And that's what these options show. And again, just in discussion, you look at risk and buying insurance for the times that maybe financially you may need it, the balance sheet doesn't allow for it, versus other times when you say we can absorb that. And again, a decision that's made by administration along with council and board consent. So I bring that up. Earthquake. So currently we've got 10 million of earthquake coverage. In this area here, we sit in zone 4 of 5. New Madrid is kind of the epicenter. When you go out, St. Louis to Memphis, those are in the main areas. Buying quake down in those areas are very limited. And then as you come further out to Chicago, it gets better. So anyways, I sought an additional $20 million limit, and that's what that premium brings. So it's a total of a $30 million limit. If that's so interested, if you're so interested in adding that on. Now, you have to kind of look at your structures. Joisted masonry, quake in this area based on modeling, you're going to have structural cracks. If you have, like, say, an older historical brick building, you probably want to buy the full limit. Probably suffers significant damage. This building being built in 2012, it's a newer construction, probably less of a risk. It's down there with the intermodal hub. But nevertheless, we want to bring that forward. The final one here, coming back onto the liability side, as I mentioned, right now, our total liability on the bus is $10 million with retention. This is showing if we added an additional $5 million, bring it to $15 million. Okay, I benchmark right now at 10, you're at the average. 15s into the 25 percentile. So not many districts, certainly downstate, you're probably one of the large ones outside of maybe Peoria on limit size. Certainly your assets and everything have grown specifically over the last number of years. So those are kind of things, when we sell umbrella, we do a couple of things. We look at what does the budget afford? What is the risk based on past performance? And then contractual. Contractual is really not applicable here. So again, that's going to be decide on tonight, but for a conversation, certainly with legal and get their input on that. Steve, do you have anything you want to add to that, or what do you guys think? Michelle? Okay. So jumping back to the workers' comp portion of it, a little table, I got a bigger spreadsheet. I track kind of where we are with the premium trends, losses. And in this case, we went to IPRF in 22, which certainly, as I say, strategically was a good move. IPRF is a fund that's been around since 1976. It's homogenous, it's municipalities. So you have a lot of like kind, similar risks. And so they're able to better manage it and control it. Last year, if you recall, I know I wasn't here, but in my notes, we stepped away for the fund from a legal standpoint to go and do a market research and see what work comp is in private market. Okay? The Travelers, the Great Americans, the bigger writers of it. And when we did that, we promulgate what's called an experience mod. I don't want to get in the weeds, but here's the thing. It showed me that our mod based on losses ran about 1.54 last year in the private market. In the IPRF fund, it was running at 1.21. So we're running less based on how they view it. And therefore, the equivalent is less money premium versus going to private market right now. So when I look at this and, the losses, and I make a comment here, we've had over the last number of years, claims that weren't able to be subrogated. What subrogated mean? Basically, you get hit, the buses get hit, and people get injured, your drivers. And, they don't have, they try to go back after the party who's responsible. They either have no insurance, so it's, in blood from a rock. So it's a cost that the carrier absorbs. And it seems like, over the last couple of years, that has been, I would say, a part of the losses. And then the other thing is you have, injuries that just occur, a lot of times like knee injuries, back strain, soft tissue, those ones take a while, bigger reserves are put up. And I touch on reserves because Michelle was asking me about this earlier today, was with reserves, the carriers have a statutory obligation to say, here's what we think this claim is going to finish out at, because if you don't put that up, you can falsely look better than what you really are. But through, getting these cases settled, you find that these reserves come down, because the treatment responded well, so on and so forth. And so Melissa and Michelle and I back, I think it was April, we went through a lot of the claims and I went back to IPRF and asked them to see where we're at with this so we can start getting these brought down. And, you can see it makes an impact on loss ratio. Prior April 30th, we're running about 117%, reserves brought down 86. Why does that matter? Going forward, insurance for work comp is always looking in arrears minus current year. So hopefully this helps our position in the next year when it comes out of the pricing model, minus out any payroll increases, okay? We factor that in as well. So anyways, all things considered, it was reasonable. And really, to be honest with you, there was no real alternative. You're going to pay, I would say, equivalent anywhere from $700,000 to $800,000 if you can find a taker. And I saw that last year. I think I gave the quote within our summary. So, last thing on that, IPRF, provides the district a grant every year, which are actual dollars geared toward your electrical safety. So, it's real dollars, so it's a line item you can take off wherever you appropriate towards safety, slide that in. So you can kind of look at it a way where net that out, and that's your real premium.
Do we use that for programs or to offset premiums?
We use it for we've done training, like we did the de-escalation training a few years ago. We've used it for gear, like headgear. We use it for safety things like the scaffolding in the garage. So we've used it for variety of different things.
Okay.
Going down, touch on a couple more points. Cyber liability, relatively flat, no real changes. We're keeping the full of it, $1 million for the coverage, including a supplemented amount of $250,000, which is really the max you can buy for any kind of like social engineering type claim within your bond through Travelers, which is a 3-year deal. We have like money transfer coverages. It's a much broader product, so it addresses that. And this might be the third and final year of the 3-year term, because that's done in a 3-year term. And then the last, fuel tank storage coverage, basically breach of tank, fuel goes into the ground, into the water system. It's the liability that addresses that. I kind of stopped there. First off, is there any questions?
From the trustees?
So the bottom line, it's about a 4.6% overall increase. And if I net out the IPRF, about 3.2%.
I'd like to note, so the premium is 1.3 million. That's what we'll be paying for the package of commercial insurance this year. The 5 items that he talked about earlier, they're on the bottom of this page down here. Those are optional. If we were to add those, it'd be an additional 217,000 to that premium of 1.3. The 1.3 is about a $60,000 increase from last year's premium.
The public officials and excess liability, I want to have a conversation with the rest of them. To see what he thinks.
Yeah, no, I would say all of those line items going back to the committee for a little bit of a discussion with admin.
And I would make myself available if there's like a deeper dive you want to take on any of these subjects. You won't have to come back and conversation or even in the subcommittee.
Do you have any answers to the weather patterns?
And I told this. So last Wednesday, I was supposed to be in Cincinnati. One of the discussions is the district for the buses, because that's where we cover the buses under the property. I'm sorry, I failed to mention that. So the buses are on a separate limit. There's a concern, of course, and this will be something that probably going forward I'm going to address, is we get a heavy concentration of bus valuation in one location. As you can imagine, one fire, one tornado. Between buses and building valuation, we're at about $80 million. That doesn't always fall well with the insurance companies. So Cincinnati's been doing this. We did a little bit of outside the box in 2014 with them, where we were able to put buses up on a property form. They're only covered while they sit here at location overnight, right? Because you guys self-insure road coverage. So one of the things that we're going to have to address probably down the road is how they may be pulling back some of that value. So that's kind of, as soon as one renewal is done, I'm already going into the next year looking at things, because this is pretty much, and this is not just you guys. I mean, I've got many public entities and large entities. It's pretty much now becoming a year-round event because of changing things. But yeah, weather, sounds like the Midwest, more specifically Illinois, becoming the new tornado alley. I think the number of them are double over the next state this year so far.
So it's shifted.
It has, yeah. We had, share with them, we got a claim right now in one of the school districts that just peeled the roof off. So not this weekend, but the prior. But I was going to say, yeah, going out to Cincinnati last Wednesday, of course, with everything happening, I stayed back. And then I left at like 3:30 in the morning, Thursday morning, to go out there as I'm trailing in behind the storm and having a discussion about valuation. And so I was just telling Michelle just a minute ago here, I was on a call this afternoon with one of our large property people in the United States that does many of the large Fortune 500 risks. And he was telling me, he goes, one thing you want to look at maybe is when you take large property, maybe take it off of certain times of the year and shift it what he was meaning was, don't talk about renewals like say April, May, or June when the storms are going crazy, because it's only acts as a reminder for these underwriters and analysts. It is real. So anyways, but yeah, we're on replacement cost here. And again, replacement cost, unlike what your personal home insurance, personal home has got a guaranteed replacement, so it can actually exceed the value of what's shown on there. Ours are capped, okay? So what the value is for the buildings and contents, about 44 million, the buses about 36 million. That's all I have to say right now.
Anything you want to add?
No, we always appreciate Tom's thorough approach to our renewal every year.
Yeah, all things considered, I would say that the increase is favorable. Seeing what goes on in the industry, that's what it is. Anything else from the trustees? I know there's a lot to absorb here, but we will take into consideration in our committee some of those suggestions, and that's one of the things that we appreciate is bringing new ideas or those to the table. But
yeah, if I could just end with this, yeah, and that's one last thing I want to tell you is, we're looking at some different risk pools. One being Gal 1, the Gallagher we manage countrywide. Again, we've got one that's being looked at. As those come forward, we've got large property programs. The one thing I have to do is if I go down those paths and it looks like it's a good deal for the district, we will certainly entertain that. We also have to be mindful of decoupling coverages because, like a Travelers carries the bus liability as well as the property. So, again, if we can get both of those from two programs put together, and, I always look at, I've been doing this 30 years and I kind of look at risk, not in a one-year proposition, but how we grade it over a 5-year term and recapture the dollars back. So
that's the way to do it.
So, thank you.
Okay.
Recognize Jerry since he wasn't here for the panel.
You add Jerry to our roll call, please. Make sure you got him in the meeting minutes. Okay, thank you. All right, then. Well, good discussion on insurance, but obviously more to come. But for right now, if there's no further comments, we'll go ahead and look for a motion here.
I'll make a motion to execute all necessary policy writers and contractual documents to affect insurance coverage for FY27 as presented by Gallagher.
Okay, we have first and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Very good. We have approval for that. Tom, as always, appreciate it. We'll get back in touch, okay? Thanks for coming.
Trevor Goss.
You can have it. Consider it holy water.
Good stuff. All right. Next item under new business, if we could, is the adoption of our FY27 corporate and capital budget. Michelle.
Yes, so the budget was put on display in the April board meeting. We have made some slight changes to the budget that we put on display. When I developed the property tax levy with a new split from IDOT, I needed to make some changes to the revenue amount. We'll be taking a little bit more revenue because of that 80% split. And then because of that, I'll talk about it again when I talk about the levy, but I had to shift some things around differently in the levy. So I'll get to that the next agenda item. So we increased our revenue and then we increased our amount for fuel. We had kind of cut back on it when we were trying to fit it to a certain amount when we created the original budget. So it was kind of nice to be like, oh, we can increase this line item because I have forecasting through the calendar year that gas should stay high the calendar year. So the required public hearing was completed on June 8th. I was not in attendance. I was out of the office. But a few people here this evening, Ms. Ridley, Mr. Mears, Mr. Dickey were in attendance at that meeting as well as Melissa Peterson, our controller. There were a few questions and answers and the meeting lasted about 25 minutes. And so before you tonight is the budget that we would like to adopt for amount of $28,410,116 in operating and 22,774,491 in capital expenses. And as we noted in April, it's a higher budget because of the 19 replacement buses that we are anticipating in fiscal year 27.
And always well laid out in detail, so thank you for that. Anything from the trustees? I know it's a normal process that we go through, seems customary, but is there anything regarding this year's budget? If not, I'll go ahead and ask for a motion.
Make a motion to adopt the fiscal year 2027 corporate operating and capital budget as presented.
Okay, we have a first and second. All those in favor here?
Aye.
Anybody opposed to that? Very good. Approval to move forward with that budget. Thank you very much. Next item was kind of in conjunction with that. That's our FY27 tax levy ordinance. It's currently on display.
Yes, we are putting it on for display this evening. We won't adopt it till the August meeting. So in the property tax levy this year, I typically use the approach of using Sangamon County CPI for the, which is 2.7. Let me make sure. Yes, 2.7. And I also added, rounded about 0.8 up to 3.5. And I did that intentionally this year we are not leaving any money on the table for the new properties that are added to our district. You only get what you ask for. So if I was only to ask for the CPI, which is not necessarily a bad approach, that's what you get. But this approach will allow us to not leave any money on the table that would potentially be a part of our levy. So, each year you learn, could do a different approach next year, but I thought that was the best approach this year. Because of the 80% split that we're receiving in operating assistance from the state of Illinois, I needed less revenue in this restricted levies. So there are 4 restricted levies like IMRF, the audit, those items. You can only ask for so much revenue. You can't ask for more revenue than you'll have in expenses. So I had to modify those. And because of that, I shifted more to the general levy, which is unrestricted. And when you do that, one of the things I can make sure you're not doing to abide by statute, you can't go above 0.0025. And I forget from memory what I ended up being at, but I'm not above it. So I'm good. So we're good. So before you is a property levy for which is essentially a 3.5% increase from last year's levy for a total amount of $3.3 million.
Okay. Obviously another annual exercise that we go through, but there's a lot of information. Anybody have any commentary or questions? Anything from the trustees? Okay. I'm hearing none. I'll call for a motion to this item as well.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and second here. Anybody opposed? Sorry. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Very good. We have approval to move forward with the levy. Thank you very much. Second and last item up is a 1-year renewal for our third-party claims. That outside vendor. Hadley, you want to address that for us?
This is our final year in the contract we have with Lodestar, formerly PMA, for our third-party claims management agreement. Any claim that's below the corporate deductible is reported to Lodestar, and then they take care of it from there. The increase in their proposal for this year is in line with our master agreement with them, allowing for an increase of up to 6% at renewal. So we were not surprised.
Don't leave any money on the table.
Yes.
Okay. With this TPA vendor, you guys have been pleased with their performance up to this point? Yeah, so, okay. All right then. Anybody have any questions or comments for Hadley? Okay, if not, I'll look for a motion as well here.
I'll make a motion to approve the 1-year agreement for third-party claims management with Lodestar.
Okay, first and second on this. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Very good approval for our last 1 year on that. Then we'll go out for bids again.
We will reevaluate close towards the end of the calendar year.
All right, very good. And last item under new business is our usual from time to time, our surplus items that we need to consider.
So tonight we're asking to declare a few items surplus. Those include server and storage hardware. In January of 26, we presented to the board the server replacements, which are Dell servers. Ooh.
Yes, they're Dell.
I know we have purchased Dell servers. There might be more. It's try as we may in our IT meetings, you know, to keep track of it. County IT does a great job. It's just lack of ability on my end. But so we have replaced servers as well as storage hardware related to servers. So that's one item that's being asked for surplus. And then the other item, there are some outdoor storage containers that we have on our property. Along the fence line, along the railroad. I'm not really sure what's in them off my memory. I know. But with the East Yard project coming, they are being removed and redone. So those are the items that we're asking for surplus this evening.
Okay. Any questions or items here to discuss? I'll just say, I know us trustees understand you do more with less, so when there's time to go, it's time to go.
Time to go.
Yeah, we hold on to our stuff, yeah.
Okay, if there's nothing further on this item, I'll look for a motion as well.
Second.
Okay, first and second here, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed to this? Okay, very good. That will conclude our new business items. I have a number of things to close the meeting, but right now I'll call for any public comments, if there's any, or if there's anything out there. Anybody from here in the meeting? Anybody? Okay. Well, with that, we do have to go into a closed session. So any folks, if you need to leave, you're more than welcome to come back after the closed session. So if we don't see you, best wishes for a safe and happy 4th of July holiday coming up. But with that, I'll look for a motion to close the open and open the close.
I make a motion to close this open meeting, open the closed meeting for the purpose of discussing 5 IL6 1202C, 1 personnel matters, 5 property, 8 security, 21 minutes of closed meetings.
Okay, we have a first and second. Any
I make a motion to close the closed meeting and reopen the open meeting, June 22nd, 2026.
Okay, we have a first and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Is there anybody opposed? Very good. The open meeting of June 22nd, 2026 is now reopened at 5:37 PM. We have a couple additional items to come before the Board of Trustees during our meeting. So I will go ahead and I'll ask for someone to tackle the personnel matter that we have under new business.
I'll make a motion that we accept the staff recommendation as discussed. Back to compensation. And further, I would ask for extension of managing director's contract, same terms and conditions that exist currently, until such time as we can type it up. Discussion for compensation.
Okay, that motion's been made. Is there a second? Very good. We have the first and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Is there anybody opposed here? Very good approval for that to move forward. Thank you. And the last item was depositions from closed session meetings. Can I have a motion on this, please?
I make a motion that the minutes that were closed to remain closed.
Second.
Okay, we have first and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Is there anybody opposed to this? Okay, we have approval to keep those 2 meeting minutes closed. Is there any additional business you need to hear? Anything additional? Okay, well, another busy and productive meeting. I want to thank everybody and pass along to each of your staff in your respective areas. Happy 4th of July holiday coming up, so we appreciate
It's coming
that.
up. Aye.
If there's no further business, I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
Second.
First and second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, very good. Meeting is adjourned. Thanks very much to everybody, the trustees, for all your hard work. Great job. See you again next month.
It is the 4th of month. These months are passing too close. Yes. too.
Halfway through this year.
I know it. This is unbelievable. I'm glad to see you, Melissa. I missed you last month.
Yes. I'm